You know what? I'm sorry. Also, Deathstroke would have been better than Bloodsport because
You're
Bloodsport
crazy.
is
That's why we changed the slots,
No,
buddy.
that's
That's
hard
why we
pass,
changed
yeah.
the slots.
Don't open that
Sneaking
can
that
of
in.
Especially
worms.
Deadshot. It's. You
They
got.
made a joke about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. I'll watch it again and see if I like it.
When they introduced Peacemaker, it was the same exact way they introduced whatever his name is, Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Yeah.
This
You
guy
just
is
said
the
all that
same.
stuff about me.
Yeah.
You haven't
You haven't laughed.
Saying things
Yeah.
about you. But better. I use smaller bullets. Yeah. It's crazy how memorable that scene is, even though you hate that actor. So moving right along.
Shots
Guess
fired.
what?
Excuse me.
I'm just saying. To use a smaller
I
bullet.
love Idris Elba.
No, I just meant John Cena. But so Shang-Chi, obviously coming out September 3rd.
I don't want to see him.
Shang-Chi coming out September 3rd, but this past week was released early in Los Angeles to a bunch of journalists and influencers. Yeah, air quote influencers. People I've never heard of, thank God. But evidently the kind of opinion is pretty unanimous that it's pretty damn good. Mainly because it's not like what we're all going to call a popcorn superhero movie, because it I think it's leaning a lot more on the kind of not necessarily samurai style, but I would say that fighting style a little bit more. I would assume Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of dynamics that we might see and say recently, like we saw in Snake Eyes, that came out with Harry Golding, whatever his name is. But I'm actually looking forward to how good, because there was three main topics, three main dynamics that they mentioned. They mentioned how, it's got a good soundtrack. It's a little bit more modern day at first, but it really quickly diverts from that and goes much more into depth of this origin story, which makes this the first origin story we've had since Captain Marvel. So I'm happy that, we're going to see kind of an introduction. Again, these auxiliary characters, it's really where I think Marvel's really crushed it with home runs after home run after home run. I mean, Iron Man himself, as everybody's always mentioned, was not a primary property for Marvel. And I mean, the Fantastic Four, the Spider-Man, they were always big. But you get in, now you're getting into nitty gritty of the Shang-Chi realm. It's badass, man. I can't wait to see this movie when it comes out.
Yeah.
And I hope it maintains its velocity, and I hope it wasn't just like, oh, I'm an influencer, I got to go see a Marvel movie early, so I'm gonna say it's great, so they invite me again. Of course, again, I'm making a voice. I don't know who these people are, so I don't know if I sound like them or not. But what do you guys think so far, based on the clip after clip they release? I've seen half of this movie now, including Falcor in the water. Like, I just can't. I'm pretty sure I know the storyline. Pretty sure I know what's going to happen at the end. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen at the beginning. And Wong is going to kick the shit out of Abomination. So,
Is that Wong fighting Abomination?
It looks like Wong, like Beyonce or Madonna.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen the newest trailers, but the Asian side of me, just fair warning, really likes the idea of people that look like me up on the big screen. I know it's like it's an easy thing to say, but I'll say it. It feels good. I'm like, oh well. And also the Mandarin rug that was pulled out from under me for Iron Man 2. Thank God we're getting a little bit of follow through away from that bullshit, because the 10 Rings has been something that I wasn't actually invested in at all until watching like all of the Infinity Saga and then rewatching the Iron Man trilogy trilogy, and then learning more about the 10 Rings. I'm super excited to see more of it.
Hey man,
I guess
representation fucking matters, dude. I felt the exact same way about Miles Morales' Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse. And also being, essentially biracial, felt the exact same way about everything about Black Panther. I mean, I'm super excited for that. Now, I do have a question for this. This movie's also getting a little bit of flack because of casting Awkwafina. And how Awkwafina has been inflammatory because she put on a fake accent for the show that she does. I can't remember the name of the show. something from Queens.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Where she put on like this fake black accent that, you know, she ended up dropping after she got famous. And a lot of the like a lot of the hate for this movie has been because of casting Awkwafina. I've also seen overwhelmingly positive things about it.
Nora
Simu
from
Liu
Queens.
has been, you
Nora
know,
from Queens.
Nora from Queens, yeah. Simu Liu has been a hugely outspoken about making sure that this movie wasn't, you know, a test project, because I think that someone at Marvel said that this is a test for the market after COVID.
That was Bob Chapek, the CEO, and he's made quite a few missteps since taking the helm of Disney. So hopefully he'll learn how to talk at some point.
Yeah, just shut up, man.
just don't.
Just don't say anything. We got this.
I mean, apparently Bob Chapek, you know, was part of the whole Scarlett Johansson deal. The reason she didn't get her contract renegotiated, yet The Rock and Emily Blunt got their contracts renegotiated. Anyway, when it comes to Shang-Chi, the influencers, YouTubers that I saw who did reactions out of the theater wouldn't do reactions out of the theater unless they loved it. And from what I understand, the trailers only scratched the surface, because I think, you know, we were under the impression that this was going to be kind of a Enter the Dragon situation where there's going to be some sort of fighting tournament and he's, you know, for him to get the 10 rings or from his father. Apparently, there's a lot of lore, a lot of world building. It quickly gets into the fantastical, and what I love about what we're seeing coming out of Marvel right now is that the biggest complaint about the Infinity Saga was that all those movies were kind of in a formula of some sort. You kind of knew what you were getting. Whenever a new movie came out, you know, had a definitive Marvel feel. But what we're getting now is weird, right? So Marvel seems to be better now that they're getting weird. And I can't wait to see how
lean into it. Get weird.
Yeah,
let's get weird.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see how Shang-Chi gets weird. Because it's supposed to get really strange.
I honestly was expecting an okay with something that was a little bit more by the numbers. But refreshing to hear world building and get weird with it. Just if Ragnarok and WandaVision and Loki has, and I'm real stoked on the new Doctor Strange 2 coming out. Like, I'm excited for those. I'm not excited for Black Widow. I'm not. Everything else, has been super refreshing. I haven't heard anything about it, but I have no inclination to like really watch it.
No spoilers. No spoilers for now.
No spoilers.
For what?
Yeah.
For Black Widow.
Oh, Black Widow. I felt that way about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I was very hesitant about going into Falcon and being like, is it just going to be Captain America, you know, the TV show, and them really tackling issues with Isaiah Bradley and with Bucky, essentially dealing with depression and PTSD of being the Winter Soldier and dealing with that and coming to terms with that. It was really refreshing to see. And I'm with you, dude. I'm with you both about Marvel getting weird. I'm so here for it. We saw a lot of that in WandaVision. We saw a lot of that in Loki. You know, especially, I mean, everything with Loki was great. My brother just binged it in one day and he was like, I'm blown away. He was like, I can't believe it. Owen Wilson was incredible. And I told him about all like the tinfoil hat theories. If you line up the last episode of WandaVision with the last episode of Loki and all that stuff. So
which leads right into our next topic. I love when that happens. What if from Marvel? The show where the Watcher is your guide through the new multiverse. Because at the end of Loki, spoiler. Sean, am I spoiling? Have you seen it?
No. Fire away. I've seen it.
Boom. At the end of Loki, we get to see he who remains take it in the chest. And as a result, we get to see the perfect timeline start splintering into the multiverse. And this is the Watcher walking us through the what ifs. And walks us through all these different universes. And this particular episode features R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa as Star-Lord. And it's a completely different universe. It's completely upside down and backwards. And I love it because, first off, I think the biggest key here for me, and this was my like deep in my own surfacey takeaway of like the overall story arc, was being there for your kids from the jump is important. Teaching them early about life and explaining to them the nuances of life, and really kind of talking to them as an adult or as you would want them to be, even if you were suddenly no longer there, is important up front. I don't think Peter Quill ever really got that a lot. Obviously, his mother was sick. His grandparents were worried about his mom too, so there wasn't potentially a lot of kind of guidance during Peter Quill's time. So we see this fantastical man-child grow up to be Star-Lord, whereas when T'Challa in this episode of What If is abducted instead, the ramifications in the future are we now have a T'Challa that's changed all the people around him to, in a sense, be a better version of themselves, even so much as to see Thanos drop his agenda of obliterating half the universe and instead become a part of the Ravagers. But that's my takeaway. Now, I might be on my soapbox just as a new parent, seeing it through a particularly small keyhole of a lens. But that was my big takeaway, and it's hopefully I'm not just off in the clouds. I was definitely sober when I watched it, so hopefully I nailed it. But I'm curious of y'all's takes on how they, by the way, made Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector, super jacked for no reason, as well as had all the original actors come back and voice those characters, which is insane.
With the exception of Dave Bautista.
Oh, you're right. Not Drax.
Because close. Dave Bautista said they never called me, and then the creators of What If said, we called your people, nobody got back to us. So,
So I actually haven't watched this yet.
Oh shit, my bad.
Which is okay. It's okay.
Yeah, me either. But yeah, you didn't spoil anything. It makes me want to watch it. It makes me want to watch it.
Yeah. I can't watch Black Panther or Endgame without tearing up now because of Chadwick Boseman.
This is going to devastate you.
I know, and
I was all
really concerned about watching it because I'm really
talking about it. I was fucking in my feels.
Yeah, I can't. I know that it's going to hit me right in the feels. I've read things like this is a better Star-Lord than Star-Lord. I mean, so I'm really excited for this. And we didn't really talk about the first episode. I just want to say, again, inflammatory. I'm not a big fan of the first Captain America. That version, the What If, was the perfect length for me.
Right?
For a Captain America movie. That whole Captain America movie could have been
all the
that
bullshit out.
Good.
Yeah, they like fast forward. They just cut out all of the drab parts of the movie, swapped Peggy Carter out, and a better, I think, cooler end scene. Just seeing the like Hydra and knowing like, oh, that's the space zone. I mean, I don't know, spoilers or what are we doing? What are we?
That's
That's right.
Seeing Shuma-Gorath is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If it is Shuma-Gorath.
Yeah. If it's Shuma-Gorath. Yeah.
Right. But yes, I agree with you. Don't really like the first Captain America. It's like very, but great. Captain Carter, love it. Yeah, I was like all about it.
I got a type.
I love that in the first episode. I love that the first episode was kind of an introduction to this weirdness. It was like, okay, this is essentially the first Avenger, but cut down and a couple things changed. Right. And then we get this episode, which I did watch. And it's like, I assumed it was going to be similar. It was going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but with T'Challa, but it's completely different.
If it closes out with him saying Wakanda forever, I'm coming to all your houses and I'm smacking you. I'll be crying the whole time.
You'll be fine. But to Ernie's point, it is 100% about family because we see, T'Challa's influence over everybody he comes in contact with. I mean, the opening scene is the opening scene from Guardians, and this is at the beginning, and I think it was in the commercial, so this isn't a spoiler, I don't think. But he gets the stone, turns around, Korgoth is there, and tells him to put the thing down. And he's like, "You may know me from I'm just a simple drunkard, but you may know me as another name." And he does the thing. He's like, and then Korgath goes, Star-Lord, you're Star-Lord," which is completely the reaction.
Famous
Peter
outlaw.
Quill.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's a better he's if that's the only scene I needed to see, that is a better Star-Lord.
Yeah,
Because you actually know who he is.
And apparently, before Chadwick passed, he had done his voice lines, but he had done every voice line. So he read the script to get the context of what he was saying. So he basically acted out the entire episode to get
every
his
character,
voice
or just
That's so
every
awesome.
just
character.
his. Oh wow,
Every character.
That's so awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So now cry even more every time when you watch this one. Just to show how much harder he worked.
He talked to Kevin Feige and was like, there are parts of this version of T'Challa that we need to bring over to Black Panther too.
Oh man.
So
Brutal.
Yeah, the episode's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, now I definitely need to see it.
What if, in general, as a series, I've heard there's new rock stars. Eric Voss talks about his idea that like Uatu the Watcher and He Who Remains, or Kang the Conqueror, have interacted in the books. So there's he thinks that maybe there'll be a post-credit scene after the last episode with Uatu the Watcher in the Citadel at the end of time with He Who Remains, and they're striking up some sort of bargain, and he leaves and He Who Remains looks out and Loki and Sylvie are walking up, which would be incredible. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That gave me chills.
It would be incredible.
That gave me chills.
I love what they're doing with Kang, man. I know that it seems very like Loki-ish, where he's gonna be like the precursor to like who the real big bad is. But like Kang by himself is such a powerful being and all that. And my brother and I had this argument yesterday about Kang. I was like, Kang's Loki at this point. Like Kang's like the first. Like there could be someone much worse than Kang that shows up
It's
as
always
these
a bigger
movies
fish.
start coming together. And
Well, there has to be. They must have planned this out like a decade out. And I think Kang will be the main villain for a while, but it's impossible that it just like stops there in this phase too. I'm not saying like, obviously they planned for phase I can't remember what they're on right now, but there's always a bigger fish.
4, I think we're in phase 4.
Yeah,
I can't wait for all this. It's a real breath of fresh air. We got a lot of, like we said earlier, Marvel's kind of taken this turn where it's like, all right, now we're into the unknown. Okay, we knew what we were getting with Iron Man. We knew what we were getting at the end of Iron Man 1 when they were starting to build the Avengers Initiative. Like we knew what was coming, but now we're like in this cosmic era where we have things like Loki,
Secret Wars,
and Kang, Secret Wars, and What If, and Eternals, and we're like, all right, shit. And I love the fact that everybody that doesn't read comic books saw that Eternals trailer and saw the one of the Celestials and like, oh my god, it's Galactus, and it's
like, how did it? Wow, people.
Right.
Right. It's like, no.
It's not Galactus, guys. It's okay though.
How can he eat worlds without a mouth? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, to be fair, the only Celestial most of these people have seen is Kurt Russell. So, yes, Drax, I do have a penis.
There was the one in the flashback of the Collector explaining. There's a flashback of where he's like, you saw it for a second, and I was like, ooh, who's? And then New Rockstars, basically lined us like, this is what the F you just saw. This is what it is, and here's the entire backstory of the Celestials, and they're coming.
Read Neil Gaiman's Eternals if you don't know anything about Eternals. Just read it.
I had no
Read
idea.
Neil Gaiman's anything.
Yeah, Sandman, Stardust, American Gods,
Norse mythology, Graveyard Book, Coraline, anything.
Yeah, but no, if you want to know about Eternals, read Neil Gaiman's. It's really, really good. They've done a lot of gender swapping of the Eternals in the movie. So if you start seeing names and you're like, I thought this person was played by Salma Hayek. I think the one that like looks the most like what they are in the books is Richard Madden as Icarus, but super dope.
Yes. Speaking of Phase 4, number 4, we're already up to episode 4. You've heard it first. First 4 episodes. This just started airing last week of DC's Titans Season 3. And if you haven't watched these first 4 episodes, I'll try to gloss over it. Can I get a hand raised if you've seen it? And
I've seen it.
Nothing. All right.
I saw the first episode and a half of the second episode.
Shit's
I had to go to sleep.
Getting crazy. It's here's
Holy production
what
value.
Oh yeah, I mean through the roof. The budget's definitely bigger. They got the HBO Max money now. I gotta say, like, I'm a huge fan already of just the higher stakes, right? Like a lot of the Titans, their history has always been losing a Titan, right? Like Titans fall. That's kind of the point of DC. At least, like, they're not the A-team major league superheroes. They're usually going to be used as cannon fodder sometimes. The great big sacrifice because they're trying to prove themselves too much. They reach too far, and then they get a little extra. But right away, we're like, oh, shit's different this season. Okay, cool. We're not waiting to the end of the season to see if somebody gets murdered. This is going to be right away. And I won't get too spoilery, but shit gets real hard, real fast into episode 3.
Yeah,
dude.
Watch the show, Mike.
Okay. Episode 3 just goes off the rails. And then episode 4 gives me a lot more FaceTime with my new favorite character in this whole series now is Scarecrow, played by Vincent Kartheiser, who you might know from Mad Men. I think he was in The Gift when he was a kid. But Michelle and I ran into him in a hotel back in 2019. Super nice guy, much shorter than I thought he was. But he's got a big old grizzly beard playing Dr. Crane in this series. And, man, he's still got it. But I'm excited about where this is going. And I'm excited that all bets are kind of off, right? Like, I think HBO Max, the DC universe as a whole, understands that this show does not live in the lexicon of the DCEU extended universe, right? DCEU. So, blow them away. No offense, actors, but if it's worth you to get sniped or whatever, like Donna in the last season, then you're gonna get sniped, and you're just not gonna be in the season. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I really hope we continue to kind of gloss over the teenage angst a little bit, like we've been doing so far.
I'm really glad that we got away from that. Yeah,
pushing past let's deal with our emotions because you're fucking superheroes, or at least for the most part. I mean, I realize some of them are human, but just extraordinary. But
put the CW in my HBO.
Yeah, exactly.
The
exactly.
first 2 seasons were very CW. So.
Very CW.
This season is definitely off to an HBO start. We're dropping F-bombs. We're doing great stuff. I keep wanting to use a particular word, but if I use a word, it will give away certain things, so I won't use that.
TOS. Oh.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
So, for those, like, I won't give away anything because I want to keep that train, especially for Mike, who really cares about the show. And we know who Red Hood is as an individual. The way that they've done Death in the Family for this is really refreshing. There's a lot of homage to the original Death in the Family, where in the original Death of the Family, we all know Jason Todd goes off to try to get Joker. He ends up dying. Talia al Ghul puts him in the Lazarus pit, brings him back to life, all that stuff, and he becomes Red Hood and goes crazy. Jensen Ackles plays him in Under the Red Hood, which is, again, an animated property that is just exceptional.
DC just does it better, and if it's animated these days.
But yeah, the stakes are super high in this show. Like Ernie said, episode 3 really fucking hits the afterburners, and Barbara Gordon is in the show, and she's great, and it's really cool. I urge anybody who's a fan of like the DC universe to really give this a shot because it's a lot of fun.
Boom. Cool. I'll watch it tonight.
Sold. Sold.
I'll be watching What If once we get
I'm
off
telling
the
you.
phone, so when I send you pictures of my face just crying.
Is it all on HBO Max though?
It is all on HBO
yes,
Max.
it's all
now.
on HBO Max.
It started
by
on
all,
DC.
by all
Okay.
the first 4 episodes.
And
Well, the first
season 1 and 2.
seasons are,
Yeah.